Google's still trying to keep users on the SERP in their ecosystem.
Hi there and welcome to From Ideas to Results. I'm joined by Kitty from our content team here at Sleeping Giant Media, and we're going to be exploring all the things that are happening in the world of content in the last 30 days. We have got the evolving role of AI mode and hover cards.
Yes,
I'm excited about that. The growing dominance of Google-owned properties within that generated results, and also how brands should adapt their content strategies to stay visible. So we've seen obviously AI mode, and it's changing the way that customers are behaving. We've seen a lot around the impact on click-through rates as well. So can you explore that and also talk a little bit about hover cards?
About hover cards, yes. So hover cards are a new feature, a new kind of visibility on links and sources. For us in the UK, this is AI overviews at the moment. So basically when you do a search, you get your answer, your first text section. There's a little icon normally at the end that just looks like a link emoji. Now this has been updated to a hover card. So on desktop, when you hover your cursor over it, it expands into like a mini source panel. Also now on that link, there will be the name and the icon of the brand whose primary source material is used to form that answer. So basically, everyone's excited because it's Google giving us a crumb more brand visibility in that response.
Only on the desktop, I'm assuming?
Only on the desktop at the moment.
Yeah.
It's quite vague wording. There's been kind of richer linking material on mobile and desktop being rolled out, but I don't know what that looks like yet. So just for desktop for now.
So now we're seeing the answer. In the past, we used to have obviously a whole list of blue links. We're now seeing kind of some of those sort of links now appearing as sort of brand references because they've been cited as a source.
There's that side panel that's always there, but then depending on which bit of the answer you hover over, it will say which brands are being included, have formed that answer.
And any sort of changes, because obviously talked about click-through rate being a sort of a real drop in click-through rate when it comes to AI mode, because obviously everyone's doing their research within the search engine without having to go to the website. What do we think, or are we seeing anything in terms of impact on click-through rate as a result of these hover cards?
Yeah, so before this kind of linking update, click-through rate had dropped about 60% across the industry, just all brands. It's hard to say at the moment. Some people were thinking this is really exciting because Google's giving us something. They're showing our brand, that, we're showing our authority, people are more likely to click. On the other hand, what I think is maybe more likely is Google's still trying to keep users on the SERP in their ecosystem, because these hover cards kind of shift the decision making from a click to explore to a hover to explore. So you don't actually need to click to find out more because they show more about the source. So I think it's keeping brands on the page rather than sending them off further. Yeah.
One final question on that. In terms of how you appear within that sort of AI overview, any sort of top tips on how to do that? I know we covered it a lot, but what's the sort of nuts and bolts?
For this kind of specific hover card thing, it's not entirely sure where those summaries are coming from or what they're taking from, but it would be logical to assume they're coming from your metadata. You get your image or something called a favicon and the title. I think if you can include statements of quality in your metadata more, statements of authority, that's now being pulled in to generate that description. So focusing on meta descriptions would be good for right now. Yeah.
And moving on now to sort of topic number 2, which you started to touch on there. So the Google-owned property are dominating AI results. My understanding is that the different LLMs preference different sort of resources. So some are more focused around Wikipedia, some maybe more around Reddit. What are we seeing when it comes to Google's AI overview or AI mode? Is it favoring particular sources?
Google is the answer. Yeah, it's favoring itself. So SE Ranking have just done a study in February that shows that the level of self-citation is increasing massively in AI mode in the UK. So June 2025, it was about 5% of sources were Google linking back to itself. So this can be YouTube or Google Maps or Google Business or organic search results. Now, about 9 months later, it's 17%, which is really, really high.
Big, yeah.
So with things like hover cards, it's like Google's giving with one hand and saying, here's some more visibility, but also it's taking with the other because it's taking a lot of the actual kind of spots in sources for its own properties.
But those own properties are people using those own properties. So it's still I'm assuming it's still the brand owner. So if I'm posting on, YouTube, for example, it would reference the YouTube, but it would be my content that's being referenced as a result of that?
Yes, but in some cases, Google will link to its own search results page in the side. So like organic results, not just a blog, it would be like another search with a collection of blogs.
Oh, wow.
It within Google. And sometimes if you are watching a YouTube video that you click in the source that it appears in, it will stay in Google when you watch it. And so if you try to kind of share that video, it's more hard because you're still in Google's window. So you have to kind of click on it further to take it to YouTube. It's really like this walled garden effect of it within Google.
So in terms of what people can do to benefit from that is to, at the moment, commit to utilizing those Google properties as well?
Yeah, there's kind of two streams of in the industry. We can't decide whether we're like, okay, if Google's citing YouTube and Google Business a lot more, pivot your strategy and focus on those short form video, local SEO, or kind of like devil's advocate, that SE ranking study showed 59% of AI mode citations point back to organic search results themselves. So organic visibility, how you're ranking does matter, but within AI mode. So it is still important to produce content as you would normally, not just pivoting completely to Google-owned optimization. So it's kind of hard. I'd say stay where you are at the moment, just understand what's happening. But it can't hurt to investigate into things like YouTube.
Yeah, and it's always generally the case anyway. And again, that would be customer driven in the sense of giving customers that multimodal content, not just text-based, but also image and video, and so that would always be good advice.
Exactly. And for your own content strategy, repurposing content, cross-pollination, you should be doing that anyway, so this shouldn't really shock you too much.
Cool. And moving on that point around content strategy, so how do you adapt content strategy for AI-based search?
So in terms of this update where we're seeing more self-citation, you've got to find that balance between optimizing for quality content just to perform well in evergreen search authority, but also leaning slightly more into that like platform native visibility, I suppose. So considering things like YouTube, when was the last time you updated your Google business profile? Again, specifically for this update, I would say that metadata matters more than it would. I know Google sometimes changes it. We know this anyway. If you have statements of authority in there, if you're appearing in those hover cards, perhaps that might mean the difference between a user just saying, okay, I've seen what I need to see, or clicking to find out more about your content as a source.
Cool. So we talked about this a lot. There's a lot more to this in terms of actually how to rank within AI search. Any sort of recommendations or where to go to look for sort of more information on this?
Yes, we have a lot of resources on our website. We have a lot of resources about generative engine optimization, so how to get your content appearing as an authoritative source. We also have a lot of blogs that go way back to like 2023 when this whole thing began, so if you wanted to do a deep dive, you could.
Topic we talk about a lot, so thanks very much for the updates there, Kitty. But if you enjoyed that, do check out our socials and of course our website with more information on these topics. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.